What
Welcome
is
back.
going on, guys? Champions League! Tactical foul! My friend Kevin! Ah!
I'm here.
Oh, man. Champions League
I'm here
football.
again.
This is what dreams are made of.
Yes. Yeah, I'm happy. What did you think about the games, man?
Bro, it's okay.
Insane
We're going to dive
games
into all of
today.
it. We're going to dive
Right.
into every
Yeah.
game. We're going to talk about every game, so stay tuned. Champions League packed episode. We're really, really excited. We're going to try to keep it short and sweet for you guys. But before we get into all that, Kevin, how are you doing? Tell the
Man,
people, how you feeling, man?
I feel, as a Barcelona fan, I'm happy today. Today was a good day.
Think you should be happy
Today was
today.
a good day for me. How are you feeling?
Honestly, a little disappointed.
Really?
A little disappointed.
In Madrid score?
No. The rest of the Champions League.
Why?
We'll
Okay,
get
wait,
into
explain
it.
yourself.
We'll
I'm
get
not
into
disappointed
it.
at all.
Okay,
I'm not- I
quick
gotta say,
highlights.
I'm not disappointed at all. Wait, real quick. I'm not disappointed at all. I feel
With
like we've
any
had
of the
some
games?
Pretty great games.
So look, because here's
I
the
mean,
thing.
what the only game that I could say I'm disappointed in is probably that Dortmund Lille game.
The only game I think was like, other than the Madrid game,
and
where I
I'm
was like,
also very disappointed in the PSG Liverpool game. But all the other
I'm
games,
disappointed in
exciting.
PSG Liverpool. I'm disappointed in Villa Bruges. I'm disappointed in Arsenal PSV. I'm disappointed in Bayern Munich Leverkusen. Like, no,
Really, you're disappointed?
let's get into it. Let's get into it. We'll
let's get into
start
it. Yeah.
with the game that's on everybody's mind. It just happened today. So time of recording, we're recording at evening in America, the
Yes.
night of the second match day. So all the games are fresh in our mind. PSG versus Liverpool. Luis Enrique puts on a masterclass of what is a Luis Enrique-led team. Dominates the possession, 70%. 27 shots total, 10 of them on target, 0 goals. Liverpool, however, concede 30% of the possession. That's all they're going to take. They concede 70%. They hold on to 30. 2 total shots. One of them
Target.
on target. 1 goal. As the resident Luis Enrique fan, supporter fan, whatever word you want to use,
Yeah.
tell me your thoughts, because I was watching that game. I wanted PSG to win because I'm the only team I'm scared of on our side of the bracket as Real Madrid is Liverpool. That being said, dude, at the end of that game, all I could do was laugh. So what happened? What went wrong?
I looked at every avenue. I mean, I'm looking at all the numbers right now. This is typical for a Luis Enrique team. I mean, I feel that this is a typical game. And here's the thing. I love Luis Enrique, man. I mean, yeah, I
You
he
should.
can't be considered a GOAT manager and all that. I get it. But listen, I love the way his teams play. And even though they lose, you know what I mean? I love the way, and I told you this way back when in the Euros, I love the way his Spain played, even though they didn't technically win anything or do anything super great. The way that his team was playing, I just loved it. I love the possession. I love that he's so authoritarian with his, like, has his team playing like soldiers in every game. And to me, that's someone I consider a very hardworking manager. So Luis Enrique, I just have a lot of admiration for him. I think he's my favorite. I think I put him over Guardiola, in my opinion.
Like
even
your
though,
favoritism
he
of
hasn't. Yeah, like my favorite. I'm not gonna put him in as far as like what he's won and all of that, but as my favorite, I think my favorite coach of all time is Luis Enrique, because that dude,
I get it.
he's just got the heart of a freaking soldier, man. And he has his teams playing just the way that he is as a person, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, he's not like this big winner who scores and does all this crazy stuff or has all these crazy accolades. But man, is he just a coach that I admire, man. And this game was a perfect example of that, because I just feel like, man, like what more can you do to win a game?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what more can you do?
Score
XG
goals.
is through the roof. I mean, you had an XG of 1.82 to Liverpool's 0.27. I mean,
Dude, they had one shot on
there's
goal.
nothing more that there's no way you can have a team playing better than this. And even though they didn't win, like this was just a perfect example of just awful luck. And yeah, also like how do you concede so easily and so with so little? You know what I mean? Obviously, and that's definitely one of his things and as a coach and all of that. But man, I mean, to have the expected goals, to have the shots, to have the possession, to have the everything and lose is just, it's a laugh in the face, just like you said.
Dude, I think it's ultimately this is a symptom of PSG's, like, of just, it's not Luis Enrique's fault. It's not the player's fault.
It can't be. I
It's-
mean,
no,
look
no,
at
no,
the
no, no, no,
numbers.
no. It is a system of PSG being in France. Because, like, ultimately,
That's true. That's
Ultimately,
definitely a true
when
statement.
it came down to it's time to clutch it up, Allison said, "You shall not pass." That's it. 9 saves. No other Liverpool goalkeeper in history has got 9 saves in the Champions League. 9 saves today.
Yeah.
He said, I don't care that Konate's not playing all that well. I don't care that Van Dijk's not playing all that well. I don't care that Gravenberch or whoever isn't. I'm not getting scored on today.
Yeah.
And that comes, that confidence, that ability only comes from being at a place where you are constantly up against it, where every game matters. Every point matters. And Liverpool, for the last 7 years, is the first time where they can actually take the foot off of the gas in the league. They're that far ahead. But every year before, every point mattered because you can't drop points against Man City in the Premier League. Every point mattered. Every game in the Champions League mattered because you can't drop it because you know Real Madrid or Manchester City are around the corner and you got to. And like, Liverpool have been there and they've done that year in, year out for 60 or 70 games a year. That's their standard. And PSG have what? 20, 25 games a year where your back is against the wall? If that. I think that might be generous because it's what? It's once you get to the knockout phase in the Champions League, which we all know PSG is going to get there. And then what? Some cup finals, maybe the last week or two in Ligue 1. So like there isn't a lot of opportunity for that team to truly, truly get tested. And while I'm a big fan of a lot of the things that we're seeing from Ligue 1, and like I think Marseille is doing a really, really good job, and Monaco and Lille and Lyon and Nice have all done really good jobs of making names for themselves out of the French league. They're still nowhere near PSG, and they're not at a position where they're really pushing PSG. Like Brest was in the Champions League and did incredibly well, and they dropped 7 on them. 10 over 2 games. You know what I mean? They're still not facing a level of competition where you feel it, and I think that this was a perfect example of it. Dembele is the second highest goal scorer in 2025 behind only his compatriot Kylian Mbappe. But they face a real team and a real defense and a real goalkeeper that just said no, and then they let a 17-year-old score on him. 21-year-old, sorry. Harvey Elliott is 21 years old.
Yeah.
But he comes off of the bench with the moment that, let's be honest, that moment won them the game. Liverpool's going to... PSG's not going to Anfield and overturning this. They had to win at the Parc des Princes, but they didn't.
I'd have to disagree with you there. I mean, though it's unlikely.
While he's coming back, and I get what he's saying, it's unlikely and all of these things. They had to get a win in the Parc des Princes. They had to. You're back now, sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
What was that?
You're back now. I didn't want you to say your point without missing it.
Oh, okay. So going back, so I have to disagree with you there because I feel like this game screams they were a dominant team to me, like screams it in my face with a what's it, one of those big microphones.
The
Uh
megaphones.
the megaphone, yeah, like it's screaming it. Like I feel like a cartoon where like something's screaming at me and like the air's coming back. This game screams that loudly at me that they were a very dominant team, that Liverpool got lucky with their shot. And I think that like the PSG were just in such a high spot because they had so much chances, and this happens a lot with these teams. And they got on the break, and they got one good clear shot on, like it was a one-on-one almost. So it's like it was a very 50-50 chance, and they scored it. And so it's a lot of it luck. I do feel like PSG are going to put up a fight on Anfield.
Of course, but I don't
Now,
think they walk
it
away with the win.
obviously, like I'm not saying their chances are high because it's Anfield and because it's Liverpool, and because Liverpool are still a heck of a team that can pull these games off. But I don't want to write off PSG just yet. I feel like PSG screams like they did really well in this game, and I think that they can still do a really good game at Anfield.
I
Now,
see. I
winning
get
it
why
a
you're saying that.
stretch.
I get why you're saying that, but I think we need to remember that Liverpool let PSG dominate possession. I think that's a thing that matters. This
No, but it's
isn't.
not about that. But no,
But
no, no.
really quickly, really
But I'm
quickly.
not talking about the possession
No. I'm just saying,
because
like
this
they
isn't
let
just the
them
possession.
dominate possession and shots. They ceded that to PSG.
But they conceded a lot more than just that. I mean, we're talking tackles, ground duels, aerial duels. They lost a lot. I mean,
No,
Liverpool
but
just
but
didn't.
that's the point,
Almost
though.
any stat that you look at, they didn't win,
No, but I think
except for
that was
blocks.
I think that was the point. I think that the thing is I think what you need to look back at is look at that City game that they just played against, where they beat City 2-0. It was the same game plan. They conceded possession to City. They said, City, you can have the ball all game long. And they
Wait,
ceded it.
Liverpool to
Liverpool.
City?
Liverpool just ceded possession to City and said, if you want to have the ball for 70% of the game, you can have it. And that's what they did. They just gave City 70% of the ball, but they said, you're just not going to score on us. And I don't think that they necessarily have to play that way, right? Because we've seen Liverpool this year dominate possession in a big way when they need to. And I think that once that game gets to Anfield, we're going to see a different version of Liverpool and how they're going to play. This is going to be one of the most exciting matches of the second legs because it's going to be at Anfield. PSG are against the wall, and the way that PSG have been playing recently, like Dembele, like let's not forget the addition of Kvaratskhelia to PSG has changed the way that Luis Enrique has that team playing. Like PSG are a very, very fun, attacking, like they're always in it. But Liverpool are a team that they feel comfortable ceding possession. They feel comfortable suffering through defense. And sometimes you just need to do that. Sometimes you just need to let a team run through all of their energy. And we'll talk about another team that does that and it didn't work out for them in Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid. But like we saw that with Real Madrid last year. We just ceded possession to Man City and we said we're going to suffer through defense. And it worked, and we went through, and we won the Champions League. Sometimes you just need to do that to a team that wants to have possession.
I get that was the game plan for them, but I feel like with the players that PSG have, and I'm talking Barcola, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, I feel like they're gonna find a way to break through. I feel like they just need a double. They need to look at this game. They need to reflect on the things
Mm-hmm.
that they failed at on the attacking third. And if they can go back and they can break through the lines that they were supposed to break through. One thing I also noticed is they didn't have a lot of. They had shots, and especially they had like a shot. Like if you notice the positioning of the shot that Liverpool scored versus them, they had a plenty of shots in that same position, but they didn't score them. And Allison's a heck of a goalkeeper. He put on a hell of a performance. Now at Anfield, he's gonna also have to put on a hell of a performance because there's gonna be shots. And so I get it. I get what you're saying. That was definitely the game plan here, and it worked for them, and it worked very well. but I think that it's a very risky thing to do sometimes, especially when you have goal scorers. And I'm not saying that PSG are this outstanding team that has these amazing players, but Dembele is a great player. Barcola's pretty good. Kvaratskhelia is really good. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the chances aren't high for
It's an
PSG
uphill
to win
battle
this
for
game.
PSG.
It's an uphill battle. It's definitely an uphill battle, but with the way that they played, and they played. I mean, yeah, I get that that was the game plan for Liverpool, but they played a good. I feel like PSG played a really good match. They
They
played a
did.
great match,
Like they did.
and
They
I feel
played a good
I
match.
don't
The better
think
team
that
won.
they won't fight. And with Luis Enrique teams, especially in the second leg, they just always end up doing a lot better than the first. And I think that PSG can go into this game and if they can score some goals, if they can just break through Liverpool, break through Allison, we're gonna have a match on our hands.
Yeah. Well, again, we're gonna have to see. I'm excited to see this second leg. A lot of stuff going there. Moving on to our next game. I don't think anybody's gonna be all that surprised. Aston Villa 3, Club Bruges 1. I think Club Bruges obviously coming into this game.
Didn't you have them winning?
No, I said they could be dangerous. I thought Aston Villa was going to win every day of the week.
Yeah.
Because I just think that they're the better team, and I think that they're in the better league. And Club Bruges coming out of Belgium, and like they give these teams a hard go at it, and for a majority of this game, it was 1-1. They just fell apart at the end there, right, with the own goal and the penalty that they gave up to Asensio. But I think that's kind of the point. Is just look, Club Brugge has some talent. They got Mignolet, who's an excellent goalkeeper, and they've got some players on that team that you look at and you go, like, these guys might be players for bigger teams in the future. But Aston Villa is just like, they're just a deeper team. That's just it. They went out in January and they said, we're all in on the Champions League. That's what we're going to do. And they, and Marcus Rashford, Morgan Rogers, Tielemans, Watkins, Bailey, McGinn, Asensio, Ramsey, like
He scored a goal today.
Yeah, he scored a penalty. It was yesterday, technically.
Oh yeah.
But again, it comes back to the conversation of like, this kind of made sense.
Looking at this game, I mean, I think Club Brugge did actually play really good football, regardless of the loss. And I mean, it goes back to the game plans here, because I think the game plan for Aston Villa was just to try to play them one-on-one, and they did that as best as they didn't do that as effectively as I think Club Brugge did.
Yeah.
But they had the quality that Club Brugge just doesn't have.
I think it's not even the quality that Club Brugge didn't have. I think it's the quality over 90. Because I think Club Brugge is a good club, and I think that, like I said in the leading up to this, I said they can make some noise. I don't think it's enough. I think they will ultimately lose to Aston Villa, and like
Club Brugge have a good team, but they don't have the quality.
But that's the problem. They don't have the quality over 90 minutes. They don't
have the quality, exactly.
And that's the whole point. And now the second leg is going to be at Villa Park. Like, you lost 3-1 at home, like in Belgium. So like now you have to go into Villa.
And that's a significant result. It's not a 2-1. It's not a 1-0. It's a 3-1. And it's a very uphill. It's not a much uphill battle for Club Brugge.
It's not like out of the realm of possibility, but like
right.
It's an uphill battle doubled down.
It's a much higher uphill battle, I think.
And it's doubled down because you're away. And again, if you didn't have the quality over the full 90 in this game, what makes you think that you're going to have? And again, anything can happen. And I hope it does, because I really want these knockout games to be exciting and dynamic, because we're starting to see one of the issues that I think a lot of people were going to have with the new format of the Champions League is you kind of get games like this. And there's two more of these games that we're going to talk about where it's just like one team was just kind of never really in it. And credit to Bruges, that was not this game. They were in it up until the end, up until the 85th minute. They were in that game, but it just fell apart at the end. I'm really hoping that we see a turn from Club Brugge a week from now in the second leg, and they give us one hell of a game. Final thoughts, Villa versus Bruges, before we move on.
I think Villa, obviously, and I said this on our last podcast. Yeah, I just think Villa just have the quality that Club Brugge don't. Club Brugge are a great team. They play together, but to lose in Belgium at the way that they did, and the worst part is that they lost and they played great, and that's just football. And same thing with PSG. I think it's just the same deal here, except for they have a much worse uphill battle because they're down by 2 goals, not 1, and they just don't have the quality that Aston Villa have, and they're going to be away, and so all those things are just gonna they're just gonna be done.
Yep. Moving on. Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. 2-1. Obviously for Real Madrid in the end. Goals by Rodrigo and Brahim Diaz for Real Madrid, and goals for Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez, let's start with Atletico Madrid, and then we can move on to the best team on the face of the planet. Atletico Madrid getting Julian Alvarez. It's the gift that keeps.
We're not talking about Barcelona, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because we're talking about the best team in the world.
Exactly.
But
we're not talking about Barcelona. So anyway.
I don't understand where the confusion is here. Barcelona's not even the best team in Barcelona.
I'm confused because
they're not even the best team in Barcelona.
We're talking about the best team in the world. So
yeah, but like how are you the best team in the world if you're not even the best team in your own city? Like.
I mean,
make that make sense.
Madrid isn't technically the best.
We just beat them. So, as I was saying, Julian Alvarez is the gift that keeps on giving to Atletico. The fact that Pep Guardiola and Manchester City let him go. We're not going to dive into that rabbit hole, but dude, that's just a mismanagement on a different level. It's the gift that keeps on giving is Julian Alvarez. Because let's be real here. That goal from Julian Alvarez, spicy. It was a spicy meatball, and I don't even know why I'm making that because he's not even Italian. He's Argentinian. But what a goal by Julian Alvarez to get Atletico back in the game. And right off of the rip, you saw that this game was going to be a bloodbath.
But we've talked about Julian Alvarez in the past. I think he's the one that completes this team.
Yeah,
and,
he was the missing piece.
He was the missing piece for Atletico. And it's so crazy because he just... For Atletico, his style just works. You know what I mean?
Like, it doesn't make sense because it shouldn't.
Works hard, the way that he's fast, the way that he has quality. I'm sure that in other teams he would thrive even more. But the fact that like Diego Simeone found a spot for him and it works so well. And I mean, they're Argentine, so they know he knew what kind of player he was getting. He knew the kind of player that he wanted, and it's brought a lot of fruits to this team, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough in this game. So
no, it was not, because Real Madrid start the game off hot with a wonder goal by Rodrigo. Just cuts inside, top corner, chef's kiss, spicy meatball. Beautiful goal.
But which one did you like better? Because I thought Diaz's goal was
from
and he rolled his ankle. Do you notice that he rolled his ankle?
Yeah, he almost died.
He literally rolls his ankle, somehow still manages to get the dribble, and then just curls that baby right in.
I think Rodrigo's goal is more
right-hand corner.
I think that Rodrigo's goal is prettier, but I think that the Diaz goal meant better. More because. Because really quickly, I don't know if you know this. Did you hear what Diego Simeone said before the game?
What did he say?
So there was he was asked in the media about Real Madrid's midfield options now that Bellingham was going to miss this match, right? Because he got a yellow in the previous game against City. He had to be suspended for this game. So Jude didn't play this game. Mm-hmm. And he came out and said, Camavinga and Modric, yeah, I'm worried about. Brahim Diaz, no. So that goal, if you pay attention, that goal, he scores the goal, he rolls his ankle, almost dies, stays on his feet, curls it in past Oblak, does his celebration, runs in front of the Atletico bench and stares down Simeone and says, talk now, talk some more, keep talking. So, like, I think
didn't know
that
I didn't know
goal
that had happened.
meant more because the criminal, horrible human that is Diego Simeone, I hate him more than any manager on the face of the planet. But like, it was just I think it was a good result. But we saw chinks in the armor for both teams.
Can I go back to what goal? Let me tell you this.
Go ahead, yeah.
I thought that Rodrigo's goal was much tougher and harder than the Diaz goal, even though Diaz almost died. But the Diaz goal was just more. It was more pretty. But Rodrigo's goal, I mean, he hit that with his weak foot in the face of a player, and with that, I mean, man, I've always said this about Rodrigo, man. That's the dude that really scares me, honestly. And
Sure.
I know that Vinny is a better player than Rodrigo, but when we face Real Madrid, I am more terrified of Rodrigo than
You
I
should
am
be.
of Vinny.
Because he's not going to get the
100%.
attention. He's going to get the one-on-one. The double team is going to go to Vinny. The double team is
he's a
going to go to
sneaky
Kylian.
bastard.
And
He
he's just going
sneaks
to...
in.
Yeah, dude.
He comes from the wing and then he sneaks his way in, and he does it so nonchalantly. And then
Effortlessly,
when he's in the
too.
box, when he's
Lethal.
in the box, he is just such a lethal. I don't
I
even
love him.
have
I love
the
him.
curse. I think that if I say what I want to say about Rodrigo, this video would be banned from YouTube
I
because
get it.
though
Rodrigo's the player you want on your team, and you hate
Yes.
that he's
And
on
I
the other team.
hate that
Because he's
in
so...
Real Madrid.
I get what you're saying, my guy. I
Because
get
he
it.
deserves better, and
I
he
agree.
deserves better.
I
I'm
agree.
sorry. I love.
No, I agree.
Madrid's the best team in the world, but
He's good enough to have his own team.
he deserves better than Madrid, man. He just does.
I don't think
And
he deserves
I'm not
better than
even
Madrid.
talking-
I think that it sucks
not
for
better.
him that he's
I'm
fourth
sorry.
fiddle on the
but
best
let me-
team
let
in the
me-
world.
Let me rephrase this. Not that better than Madrid, because he's technically in the best team, one of the best teams in the world right now. But what
He
I'm
deserves to
saying
be the
is
superstar.
he deserves to be more. He deserves the recognition, man. He deserves
Mhm.
to be the player that a team gets built around. In
I
my
agree.
opinion.
I agree.
He's a student of the game. I feel like he learns more. He gets better every game. It's like the man gets better every game.
Keep showering my
He's a
compatriot
student.
and my player with
He's a
praise.
student of the game, and I hate Madrid. This is right. How am I praising a Madrid player? Because I actually really admire the way Rodrigo plays. He plays with a lot of hardworking effort. He would do well in any team.
In the world. And like, here's the thing, and I think that like I would hate to see him go. It's like when Isco left Real Madrid.
I thought he was going to leave
hated
this season. I was
I knew he
praying
wasn't.
that he was going to leave this season.
I knew he
really
wasn't.
I really was like, man, please let Rodrigo go Real Madrid. Please, because
It's a player
I
you
wanted to
want to
see him
like, but you
anywhere
can't
else.
because he's on
I
Madrid.
I wanted to see him anywhere else. Anywhere else. I would be willing to see him anywhere else.
Chelsea.
Not Chelsea.
But like, I
But,
totally
like,
agree with you.
I think he would even do really well in PSG.
He would be the star of that team. He'd be the best player on that team.
Yeah, he would be. Him and Dembele, it'd be over.
But like, no, but like
everybody,
he
because you got somebody. Because now Rodrigo, I think
actually plays
Rodrigo-
on the left wing.
Yeah, he's gonna play in the left wing, and he's profiled to play on the left wing.
Yeah, he
right?
is a left winger.
Yeah, he is, and he doesn't play that for Real Madrid though. He
And
has
I
to
think the
accommodate to
thing,
whatever
the
Vinny-
good thing, I think the good thing is that he's on a team with Vinny, like because
It's good for Brazil.
nationally, Vinny's gonna get the left wing. So Rodrigo playing on the right wing for Real Madrid is good for Brazil
good.
and
It is.
for Real
And I
Madrid.
think he knows that, and I think that's why he sticks a lot with Madrid. But
He'll get
I
his
really
time,
feel like-
'cause I don't
I
think-
think there's going to be a time. I think in
He's
the
gonna-
next
he's gonna
few
be the
years,
Benzema.
If he does not get that recognition, he is going somewhere.
I think he stays. I think he stays with Real Madrid. I think Rodrigo stays. But I think that the career path that Rodrigo is going on right now is one very similar to Benzema's. Benzema's came in and sacrificed himself for the betterment of Real Madrid. Benzema took a step back and said, I will sacrifice so that Gareth Bale and that Ronaldo can succeed. And that's what you're seeing with Rodrigo, sacrificing his own game so that Jude Bellingham and Kylian Mbappe and Vinny can have their games and that they can succeed. But
for how long is that gonna go?
here's the thing. I think Vinny is more likely to leave in the next 3 to 4 years. I think he resigns and he extends, but I think that Vinny is not going to stick around forever. And when he leaves, that's when you're going to see Rodrigo come in and be like, don't do what Benzema did, which is, don't worry, I got this. I've been here. I got this. And then he takes in that role. Now, I'm saying that selfishly because I don't ever want to see him leave. But very, very good game against Atletico and Real Madrid. I think it was a really, really fun game. We saw chinks in the armor from both teams. And now we go into a second leg at the Metropolitano where Atletico can't sit back and they can't defend. They have to attack. They have to move forward, which is something that I don't necessarily think that Atletico Madrid is super comfortable doing. And we might catch ourselves in a shootout in the second game because when Atletico moves forward with the ball and they progress into space with the ball in the attacking, we know that Real Madrid's defense right now is kind of suspect. Rudiger is playing hurt. Asensio is young, and this is his first time in the Champions League in big moments like this, and so there's a lot of problems defensively. But also, Atletico are going to have a hard time keeping up with the speed of, we'll have Jude Bellingham back, so we're going to have our midfield back together, but they're going to have a hard time dealing with the speed that Vinny and Mbappe and Rodrigo and just all of them being slippery, slimy little snakes and just, where are we? You don't know. But playing at the Metropolitano is always, always hard. Obviously, I'm excited for that. Arsenal beat PSV Eindhoven 7-1. We really have to talk about this game all that much?
I mean, you got to give Arsenal their flowers, man.
Totally. But again, dude, scoring 7.
I know you don't.
No.
But
Scoring 7 is
Arsenal their
impressive
flowers,
as hell.
Man.
Scoring 7 is impressive as hell.
Give Arsenal their
But it's
damn
PSV
flowers.
Eindhoven.
Hey, wait. I want to still make my prediction for this Real Madrid Atletico Madrid game.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I
wanna
wasn't
make my
even
prediction.
thinking about predictions.
I want to make my prediction there. So from what I saw, I think Atletico Madrid played a very uncomfortable match, and I think that Real Madrid played a much more comfortable match than them. And even though the next game will be in the Metropolitano, I don't see Atletico Madrid, and that's crazy because I think Atletico Madrid actually deserved to win a trophy of this level, or at least get to the final, because they've just been playing.
Dude, it's bad luck that they ran
They've
into
been
us.
playing, yeah, but you know what I mean. Just this game was so uncomfortable for them. I think that depending on the early score, depending on the first half, if they can't score in the first half, they will not make it. I don't think that they will make it. I don't think it'll even go to penalties.
No, I don't
Who
think
knows?
so either.
Because they do like to score last minute.
So do we.
But so do you guys. So I think that, as much as I hate to say it, I think Real Madrid will win this game. I hope they don't, but they will.
Arsenal PSV. Look, I expected Arsenal to win this game handedly. PSV.
You got to give them their flowers, man.
I did not expect 7. I think that this was kind of a statement from Arteta, trying to be like, we're not out of it, this team's not dead, and all those things, because I think a lot of people were obviously saying that the team was dead and that they weren't going to blah, 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 you know what I mean? And I still do believe that. And obviously they go up against, a not great PSV Eindhoven team right now, and all of that stuff, but 7-1 is just unheard of. It's never been done in a Champions League knockout game.
Let me talk a little bit about this game.
It's never happened before.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about this game. I think there's a few revelations for Arsenal, and this game showed it. I think one, Timber, man, I love that guy. I love that guy for Arsenal. I think he's just a great player.
Mm-hmm. Played well.
Great player. Odegaard just had an outstanding match. He's back to being yes. He's back to being important, and he's back to he has a good form now.
Mm-hmm.
I think a revelation for Arsenal has been Nweri and not one Nuan. I don't know how to say his name, but you know what I'm talking
Nwaneri.
about. Nwaneri, perfect. I think he's been a revelation for that right hand side that they've just been needing more from him, and I think he showed it a lot in this game. But another revelation that I wanted to talk about, and I think I told you this the other day, was Mikel Marino is starting to finally kind of understand his role in that false nine that he kind of has him at. He's kind of replacing Kai Havertz, and I think Mikel Marino's finally it's finally coming together, like his role and what he's supposed to do and the way he's supposed to play. And so I do feel like that's been a big revelation for Arsenal. Um, I mean, to win 7-1 in this game is ridiculous. They played an outstanding match. But if I know that I get really fixated on the stats. But if we look at the stats, they didn't have the most comfortable game. Yes, they won 7-1. So why am I saying this? They didn't have the XG. They didn't have the total shots. Actually, they conceded way more shots than Eindhoven.
No. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, no, I'm
No, no, no,
wrong.
no.
Am I? No, no, no. Yeah, you're. I'm
They had
wrong.
three
I'm
more
looking at
shots.
it. I'm looking. They had 3 more shots. Anyway, Arsenal had a comfortable game, but I feel like it was against a lesser opponent, and if we look, if they go up against somebody big, I don't think that this is sustainable for them. So
I think
that was
that
my where I was getting at from all that.
I think that you have to look at this game in a vacuum. This was an important result for Arsenal to show that they
Yes.
can still beat up on the small teams that they're supposed to beat up on. But ultimately,
They
if
conceded a lot of
Benitez
shots. They conceded a lot of shots.
if
That's all
Benitez
I'm
doesn't
saying.
have possibly the worst game of a Champions League goalkeeper in history, like they don't score 7 against I don't think any of the other teams.
Jesus. Benitez had an awful match, though.
No, no, no,
Honestly.
absolutely. But like I don't think they score 7 on any of the other like
Right. That's what
weak
I'm saying,
teams,
though.
you
It's
know.
like this is PSV Eindhoven, and I know that they and I was telling you this, like they did well. Yes, they did well up until this point, but they're not a team that
They fell
just
apart
was
under
gonna
the big
be. They
lights.
felt that yeah they one, they don't have the quality, plus they fell apart in this game. So I want Arsenal to do well. I didn't feel like they had the most comfortable game. And yes, they won 7-1, but like you said, against the bigger opponent, if we have an opponent that's formidable, they're not going to have the same amount of chances. They're not going to have the same amount of goals. They're not be able to do more, and they have a lot of players injured. And Mikel Marino in a false nine role is not going to fix all of their offensive issues.
Nope.
And we talked about what that was, is that he should have brought in a striker. He should have brought in somebody. He didn't bring in anybody. And now you're having to play a box to box midfielder as an attacking midfielder, essentially. Not even attacking midfielder. We're talking about a false nine. And so it's a good game. It's a good game to throw the hammer on the desk, or however you want to say that.
And they get a big win
But
at home because the first leg was
yeah,
in, at PSV. It was in Denmark. And so now you go
Holland.
Holland, sorry, you're right. So now you go and you say the Netherlands, and now you go to London and you get to give your fans a big win. We're moving on to the next round and in the Champions League, and sucks that it's going to be against Real Madrid, but like that's the level. That's what you get to do. Like that's what you right. But I think you said it perfectly. And after the first set of games, looking at this left side of the bracket to us, do any of your predictions change from your winners? I know that you predicted Liverpool, Aston Villa, Atletico Madrid, and Arsenal. I obviously had Liverpool, Aston Villa, Real Madrid, and Arsenal. You converting? You think Real Madrid beats Atletico?
Yeah. I mean,
Get to a semi.
I thought, I was hoping at least it would end up being a draw in this first match, and then Atletico could take it at the Metropolitano, but that wasn't the case, and Atletico have a much tougher time. So yeah, I'll put Real Madrid there against Arsenal. And Liverpool. Ugh, I don't want to put. I still think doesn't change. I think PSG will go through
Interesting.
and Aston Villa.
Moving on to the other side of the bracket. What a performance by Barcelona against Benfica.
Yeah.
We had seen this matchup before in the group stage. An absolute bloodbath. 5-4 win for Barcelona. But after 22 minutes, Kubarsi comes in with, honestly, just an unlucky challenge. It's unlucky that he missed the ball there because I thought it was a great tackle. I thought he ran down the player. I think it was Pavlidis, like beautifully. Like it would everything worked well, and then he just missed the ball. But Hansi Flick made the adjustment, gets this team to keep playing their way, and slowly but surely keep chugging along. Rafinha scores a goal of 61 minutes. You guys walk away from the Estadio de Luz. Let's not forget that this is the place where you lost to Bayern Munich all those years ago. With a 1-0 win, a man down, heading back to Barcelona, because I don't remember the stadium that you guys play at right now. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's the Olympic Stadium? Whatever, not important.
Olympic.
Whatever. With a lead, I think this game kind of doubles down what I was saying about Barcelona, that this was going to be an easy matchup. If you guys had 11 men the whole game, I think we're looking at a game that ends 3 or 4-0 because Szczesny was on fire today.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go on a rant a little bit. I
Do it.
felt like this wasn't the most comfortable match for us.
Of course not.
A little concerned, and I get that we were down a player, but Benfica had just chance after chance after chance. I mean, just 26 shots, 8 on target, and we had 10-5. And like, I get we were a man down, and it's still a great performance. But I have to be critical of my team. I want them to do better. They have to do better. We can't make mistakes like that. I think Rafinha is playing out of his mind. I think if it wouldn't have been for him, we wouldn't have won this game, obviously, because of the goal and because of the work ethic and the things that he does. But we had a very uncomfortable match, and it doesn't make me feel great, even though we have a great result. Yes, I think we will get past Benfica, but we need to do better against whoever's next because we cannot make silly mistakes. I mean, though Kubarsi's challenge was just a hair thin of not being a foul, you got to be careful on those one-on-ones, man. And that's the thing is, like, now we don't have him in the next match. He's going to have to be very careful. You can't do that against other teams. Because if we're a man down against Bayern Munich, if we're a man down against PSG, it's over. Inter, yeah, we're not going to. It's not sustainable. So we need to be very, very careful. And I'm not just talking about the conceding chances. We just conceded a lot in this game, and even in the last game against them, where we had 4-4, just too many goals. We need to be careful with the conceding chances, and we need to be more clinical in defense. And I feel like that's been a problem for us this season because of the way Hansi Flick has had us playing. And even though I do feel like we're playing outstanding football, I do feel like we have a really good path to the final. We need to play better. I think there still needs a lot of work in this team. And though I do see us going to the final, I'm afraid if we go up against once we go up against Bayern and Inter, essentially we're gonna have some trouble if we don't fix these defensive issues. Because against those teams, we can't concede the amount of goals that we have in the past against Benfica or Atletico Madrid. I mean, how do you have Atletico Madrid score 4 on you? Just so many little details that even though we're playing a high line and we're doing well, I want us to be more defensively sound, which we're not at the moment.
Hansi Flick kind of reminds me of Postecoglou and how he plays with Tottenham. Such a high line, such a high press, a lot of pace up top, and all of that stuff.
A lot of discipline in the pressing.
Yeah. And I find that very, very interesting. I think that while I think that you guys are relatively easily going to handle Benfica, especially at home in Barcelona, like that's a hostile environment to go to for any team, especially Benfica. I think that that's a game that is totally, totally going to be fixated on. Like, Hansi Flick has to make sure that he's not doing the mistake that is looking too far ahead. I think Diego Simeone maybe got caught in this trap against Real Madrid, which was he's not necessarily thinking about this game. Like it's 1-0. I can hold 1-0. We're the best defensive team. And he's thinking a little bit ahead against you guys play each other. Like, isn't that your next game is against Atletico? Or is it no? Your next game is Osasuna and then Benfica, then Atletico. But like, you have to be in a position, Barcelona needs to make sure that they just handle business. I think that if there's any time to compromise your tactics or compromise this idea of a high line, I think it's the second game against Benfica. Because I think that Barcelona, regardless of what you think about Barcelona, regardless of the high line, regardless of any of the ideas that you may have had about, you've got the quality of player to just beat Benfica straight up. You don't necessarily need to beat them with a tactical advantage. That's not what you need. You are just better player for player. And so you can just straight up just beat them. And I think that needs to be the way that you approach this game. Because if you keep playing the high line and you keep making some of these silly mistakes that you guys are making defensively, and now you run into, we know Benfica can score 4 on you. They've done it. You just conceded 4 against Atletico. Like, just like you said, I think you said it brilliantly, which is, while I still believe you guys are going to win this game, and I think that you guys win it pretty handedly. I think you go to the Estadio Olimpico and you get 2 goals. And it's a 3-0 over 2 legs, and you go and face Dortmund or Lille. It's not as easy as it should be. 1, because of that red card, and 2, because of the way that Hansi Flick has this team playing.
I think we have a good. I think we have enough depth to cover
I agree.
Kubarsi for the next game.
No, totally. Because
we'll have Araujo.
Yeah.
We'll have Araujo come in, and
Christensen is still there and healthy.
But Christensen isn't really playing, so it's going to be Araujo, and we have Eric Garcia as another option.
Totally, I'm not worried about the
and
depth.
They're all real. I'm not. Yeah, the depth in that position is fine.
It's just don't think you've got it in the bag.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I don't want to get ahead of myself of like, oh, we're gonna do really well. We're gonna win. We're gonna beat any team right now. I don't want to get ahead of it. We have places that we need to improve, and
not a lot of time to do it.
It won't be. Yeah, it won't be sustainable against bigger teams, and yeah, we don't have a lot of time to do it.
Moving on, Borussia Dortmund versus Lille. This was a really fun game. Like, it was 2 sides that aren't doing all that well domestically, right? Because Borussia Dortmund have gone through an upheaval since making the Champions League final last year. 2-3 coaches since that time. Like, it just wasn't really all that good for them. And Lille are a team that are trying to capitalize on the fact that they're going to get raided this summer. Chevalier is already getting looked at by big clubs to come in. Jonathan David is gone. He's a free agent. He's going to leave this summer. Ethan Mbappe, the other Mbappe, who starts for Lille, he's starting to get looks by bigger clubs. He might head to PSG. Macau, Andre, Haraldson, like they've got good players, and so does Borussia Dortmund. But honestly, I had fun watching this game. Like, it was just a straight up, just 2 evenly matched opponents.
I think Lille deserved to win this game.
I agree. I think they were the better team. But, like, ultimately, it was just like, this was the one game, I think it was this game and then the Real Madrid game, where the opponents were the most even You know,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I think was the best.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good game. I think Lille deserved it. Lille outplayed Dortmund, and Dortmund got that just lucky strike by Adeyemi, man. I mean, I don't know if you call it luck, whatever you want to call it. It was a freaking amazing goal. Um, but just again, another game that just screams to me that Lille just they had it. They had it, and they just didn't score where they needed to. They didn't they had a lot of chances. They didn't have the I don't want to say they had the better chances because
Hmm.
Dortmund had some really good chances in the box. It was an even game, but I do feel that Lille outplayed Dortmund in a way,
Hmm.
and they're going to come in the next game. They're going to be at home, and if they can play the way that they played in this game, I think they'll win.
I think they should walk away with a win, especially because we're going to France for the second leg.
Exactly.
Right, the first game was it was in Germany. It was at Iduna Park. It was, the yellow wall was there, and they walked away with a point. Right, they walked away with a point, and that matters. I think Lille move on. I agree with you. I think they were, while the game was even, I think that they were the better team. Moving on to the game that disappointed me the absolute most. Bayern Munich beats Bayer Leverkusen 3-0 at the Allianz Arena.
Yeah, just an underwhelming performance from Leverkusen, in
I
my
could not have
opinion.
said it better myself.
They had nothing to show for, which is crazy because they've always had an answer to Bayern Munich.
Yep.
But you know what? I want to point this out. Just looking at this game, Bayern Munich are improving from what we saw them in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of the season. They are just really adapting really well to company's style and what he wants to do with this team, and so we're seeing a very different side than we did when we faced them, when Barcelona faced them and beat them. So going and even when Leverkusen faced them in the past, because I feel like Leverkusen always was able to get the best out of Bayern. They were always able to somehow um, turn their style and their game plan against them, and they weren't able to do it in this game. And it shows the growth that Bayern Munich has just had throughout the season, and the fact that they're still growing and doing so well. So
So, real fun
good
fact
performance.
this year, they have faced, I believe, 4 times Leverkusen and Bayern. The first game ended in a 1-1 draw. The second game, Leverkusen won. And then the
Yeah,
third game, which
was a draw.
was not that long ago, it was February 15th, so 20 days ago,
Yeah,
was a draw. So there was hope coming into this game that not only was this going to be a team that was going to legitimately challenge Bayern Munich, but that this could be a team that overcame Bayern Munich. It almost appeared like Xabi Alonso had the answer to what was going like against Bayern Munich specifically, and just the entire team, like not a single player for Leverkusen played well. The entire team fell
it was a
apart.
just a horrible match by. I think it was the worst Leverkusen match in this whole competition.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were very underwhelming, and a 3-0 loss. I mean, there's just not much more you can say about this game other than Bayern played a really good one, and
Yeah.
Bayern Leverkusen did not.
Yep.
And just, I mean, there's not really much that they can do. There's not really much. There's not really much leeway to turn things around. And yeah, it's a sad thing to see
And
because
to not
you expect a
capitalize,
lot from, and then also the red card obviously did
obviously.
not help,
Yeah.
but
But it was so late in
just
the game. It was at 6. It was minute 60. That was just frustration building in. Like, and I think the other thing, obviously, was such a short amount of time. But like to not take advantage of the fact that Neuer had to get
and
subbed
a lot of
off.
underwhelming performances from Frimpong to Verts
Everybody,
to
nobody performed
Grimaldo.
well.
Just nobody did well. Ta even didn't do well. It was just very bad. But looking at, but again, we have to give Bayern Munich their flowers, right? Because like Bayern Munich just went and did the job, and every one of their players did well. And Olise is playing really well, and Kimmich is finally finding his footing with what company wants him to do and the way that company wants him to play. Musiala, I mean, amazing
What can
young
you say
player.
about Musiala?
Harry Kane just going and doing what he needed to do to win this game by scoring the goals that he scored. Just like Bayern went and did
Both
the
of them
job, man.
pens, I
They
believe.
treated him like they were just some lower level Bundesliga team.
Honestly,
So it's great performance from Bayern, and I don't think there's much else to say about that.
nope. I think Bayern. I think it's an I think
And
right
it's going to
now.
be an easy win for them for sure.
Yeah, because I think it's an insurmountable. Because like Leverkusen wasn't beating Bayern like lights out. You know, they're
Do
beating
you
1-0.
okay? Let me
They're doing
okay. Let me ask you this: do you see Bayern beating Inter?
no.
Really?
Let's get to that
That's an
game.
interesting
Let's get to
take.
that game.
Let's get to the Inter game
Because I
before we
think
move
Inter
on to
went
that.
in and kind of just handled business against Feyenoord.
Right, right.
They
did
came
almost-
in, they
did
played
similar
their.
to Bayern Munich, right?
I don't even think it was that because I think what Bayern did to Leverkusen was a little bit more of a stomping. I think that
Yeah.
Inter just came into this game and was like, we're just gonna handle business. It wasn't
And they did.
flashy. It wasn't anything like and they had players missing out of their lineup and like Bastoni, who's traditionally a center back, has to play as a left wing back because DiMarco like, but it didn't matter. They just came in and they said, try and beat us, and obviously they couldn't. And honestly, I think a lot of teams are gonna have a really hard time doing that. Like, I like Feyenoord, and I think that like they're in a very similar position, obviously, and this is not just because they're both Dutch teams, but like there's some good players on Feyenoord, and all of these different things, but like, do we really expect Feyenoord to like? This is the best coached team in the world right now, Inter.
Yeah, I think
Like,
Inter did
Inzaghi
really
is
well.
the
I think
best
Inter-
manager right now tactically. He has this team
I've
playing.
told you this. I think that to me, I'm a little more frightened of Inter than I am of Bayern as a Barcelona fan to face them, because I just feel like Inter have that defense. The line by line, they're very, very good. And I think that they're able to use their lines to break away and press and do a lot of things. And we've mentioned speed with Inter, and they don't have like this amazing speed, right? But they have strong players. They have players that work really hard, and I think that I'm more afraid of them than I am of Bayern, because I think Bayern are a team that can concede easily, and this team is not. This team is just very well structured defensively, and they know when they need to handle business, and I think that that's a big difference. So I am afraid of facing Inter in the semis because of that reason. And I just think that
I think Inter is the, like I said, I've said this. I think Inter does an incredible job of what's the word I'm looking for? I think they're an incredibly well managed team. I've said that a million times. But I think that the biggest problem that they're going to run into is going to be is the fact that they don't have the pace to take advantage of your high line. That's the
Right.
problem.
But the thing is
way
that I don't
that you
think that. But
beat
here's what
Barcelona,
I'm contradicting you.
real quick, because I think the way that you beat Barcelona is by taking advantage of the massive amounts of space that you have that you give up in the back, like on purpose, and they don't necessarily do that. And with
Right.
how effectively Hansi Flick has Barcelona pressing, I think they might have a hard time having possession and slowly matriculating that possession up the field to put you in a position where you're in, let's say, a low block, and now they can move the ball around and tactically break you down. So I think that the matchup because I do think that Inter is going to easily handle this game. This game was in Feyenoord, so like the next game is going to be in Italy. I don't think that Feyenoord has a chance to do that. And going on to predictions, because I think that's what we are. I think it doesn't matter who makes it through with Bayern Munich or Bayer Leverkusen. I think Inter beats them, and I don't think it matters who makes it through Lille or Borussia Dortmund, because I think you guys beat them. When you get to that semifinal against Inter, I think the biggest question is going to be, can Inter push you guys back so that they can try to break you down? Or can you keep Inter in their own zone and break them down?
Here's my
That's
honest
the
take.
hard question.
It's going to come to that. It's going to come to having to break down Inter to win. Now, breaking down Inter is hard, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. Now, looking at Inter as a whole, I think that Inter are very good at crossing and having Thuram at the end of it. And Thuram's a big guy. And also Martinez is a very strong and well-skilled player. So I think that those players could potentially, if the thing about Inter, why I'm so afraid of them, is if they score one goal, that's it. You know what I mean? They know how to defend. It's going to be really hard to break them, no matter how high the line is. So that's what I'm afraid about Inter, man. I think Inter can score 1-2 whenever they need to score a goal. They can do it. They know how to do it. And then once they score that goal, it's like, how do you break that defense down?
Totally. I said it. I said it before we started recording. Whoever scores the first goal against Barcelona versus Inter wins the game.
Yes.
Honest,
And
whoever
completely
scores
agree.
the first goal wins the game.
Agree. It's a tough match. I think that out of all of the teams on that side, on our side of the bracket, that's the team that I think is scares me the most. And
it
Inter
should, rightfully so.
And a lot of people are saying that Inter could make the final.
I agree. I think we're going to. There are only, in my opinion, 2 teams on either side that can make the final. And I think it's Real Madrid and Liverpool on one side and Barcelona and Inter on the other side. And I think that the good thing is that's going to be the semifinal. Those are going to be the semifinal matchups. And I think that both of those matchups are worst case scenarios for our respective teams. Because, like, I think you guys would be much more comfortable against Liverpool. And I think we would be much more comfortable against Inter. But that's not how it rolled out. We have to play Liverpool.
What if there was an El Clasico final, man? What if
it's on the books. It's on the cards.
Yeah,
I think it's
I know,
literally, and I
it.
think that it's a possibility. Like, I think
It's a big possibility.
I think that that's the most likely outcome is an El Clasico final.
Oh man,
But-
that's nerve wracking.
It should be.
That's nerve wracking.
I
Not just because Madrid are a great team. And
No.
the animosity on both teams, man, it's gonna make that game like just one of those freaking games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me and you are gonna hate each other. It's gonna be awful.
Yeah. And it like
I don't want that. I'm gonna
and
tell
like
you
the
that.
other
I'd
thing
rather
is
have
like it's
Liverpool for
at
sure.
the Allianz Arena. So like Rudiger can win it at home. Hansi can go back to the team that fired him and win it in their stadium. Like, there's more to this at stake other than Real Madrid, Barca hating each other. So, like, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. There's still a lot of football that has to be played. There's still a lot of games that have to be played. And who knows? Maybe Atletico comes back. Who knows? Maybe Benfica comes back. But if you're telling me that we're going to get an El Clasico final, sign me up. Those are the games we live for, regardless of the result. But I do want to beat the brakes off you guys in a Champions League final. That would be fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yes.
During a Champions League episode. We're going to be doing a lot more things.
Yes.
We're going to be doing a lot more deep dives onto teams, and we're going to get focused on the content a little bit more. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on your way out. Kevin, tell the people goodbye and all of those things.
I love you guys. Please comment whatever you guys think. Comment on our predictions. What do you think about an El Clasico final? And you guys have a good night.
All right, get out of here, guys. Have a good one.